Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to my very first tutorial in the Getting Started with Swift tutorial series. In this first video, we're going to keep it short. I'm just going to go over what I think you guys should know before you start this tutorial, and I'll give you a basic introduction to Swift. First of all, Swift is its own programming language. It's independent of any other language, which means that you don't need to know any other language to learn Swift. If you haven't done any programming before, I highly recommend that you go find some tutorials and learn some of the fundamental programming concepts. For example, I'll expect you guys to know what a loop is, what a variable is, and what a function is. You don't have to know how to do it in Swift, but I expect you guys to know what they are and what they're used for. Like I said, Swift is its own language. It is not Objective-C. It is not an extension of Objective-C. So you don't need to know Objective-C to learn Swift. This is the language that Apple is going to be leaning towards as time goes on. This is the language that Apple will want its developers to develop their applications in. And I don't see Apple supporting two different languages in the long run, so I highly suggest if you haven't started learning Swift, you start right here, right now with this tutorial. Because eventually I see Apple just not supporting Objective-C later on. So it's a good idea to just be prepared for that and get the basics down right now. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this tutorial. So let's get started. Well, before we start, let me just say that we're not going to be doing any iOS development or any Mac OS X development. We're going to be focused solely on the structure, syntax, and conventions of Swift. So I just want to prepare you guys for that. I'll have other tutorials down the line that will focus on those platforms, but this series is entirely on the Swift programming language. Alright, let's really get started. First, I want to tell you guys, Swift is not a superset of C. It is definitely C based like most of the languages out there, but it is not a superset like Objective-C was. What I mean by that is you can't take C code, inject it in your application, and expect it to run and compile without any errors. The compiler will throw a bunch of errors at you. In Objective-C, that wasn't the case. You could take plain C code, inject it into your application, and it would work beautifully. You cannot do that here. So just know that you can't do that in Swift. Second, semicolons. You don't need semicolons in Swift. If you're used to putting semicolons, don't worry. You can put semicolons and there will be no problems. Swift will run and compile without any errors whatsoever. Just know that Apple themselves in their documentation don't use semicolons, so it's a good practice for you to start not using semicolons in Swift. It's just the standard convention in Swift. Next, we're going to talk about keywords in Swift. You're going to see keywords in Swift that you may or may not have seen in other languages. Forget about what they meant in the other languages. We're going to go over what they mean in Swift, and that's what you guys should be focusing on. Focus on what they mean in Swift and try to grasp the Swift concepts. You might think or assume things that you were assuming in other languages because the keywords look similar. Don't make those assumptions because chances are they're not true in Swift. The last thing I'm going to go over in this tutorial is Swift playgrounds. In Objective-C and other languages, what you had to do when you were testing out some code or just some new algorithm that you came up with, you had to make a new test project and clutter your computer up with entire project structures, and it just got really messy when you had like a bunch of test projects all over the place. In Swift, with playgrounds, it becomes a lot easier to do that and it's a lot faster. So what you do is you open up Xcode, you create a playground, and it creates one .playground file that you can write simple code in and then see the output or the results immediately. Oh, well, let's actually look at a playground right now and it'll make more sense about what I mean. So open up Xcode and then click Get Started with Playground. If you don't have Xcode 6 or above, you will not see the playground option. So make sure you have 6 or above. I recommend just get the latest one, 6.1, and this version number. So let's do this. Get started with Playground. Give it a name. I'm going to call it My Playground 2, and I'm just going to save it to my desktop. Desktop, create. And if you look at my playground, I already had a My Playground from before, but it's My Playground 2.playground. The file is a .playground. Everything of the playground is contained in this file, so it really doesn't clutter up your computer at all. And once you have it open, you'll see it has two panels. One is a code panel and the other one is like a sort of a results panel. If you can see here, there's like a variable string str that's hello equal to hello playground, and you can see it printed out hello playground here. Now if I was to immediately change it to this is the left side, you can see after I was done writing the statement, it automatically really quickly compiled and outputted, you know, whatever was the latest value for that variable on the right side. As you can see, it doesn't show you the current value of the variable. It shows you, well, I guess in a sense, it shows you the current value of the variable on that line. It doesn't show you, like, for example, I changed the value of str here. It doesn't change it up here because it just wants to tell you what the value of that variable was at this point in your code. So it's a really helpful tool if you want to, you know, making a quick algorithm to test something out. You can see all the results really quickly here. It's a really cool way, and we're not going to be, this is what we're going to be doing most of our development in this tutorial series, because as I said, we're not focused on iOS or OS X. But yeah, I think that's all for now. In the next video, we're going to be going over creating and using variables, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.